Thank you. So it was just on the right timing to pass back the floor to Oscar.
Thank you very much, Karina, for this overview of an amazing dissemination that has been done throughout not only Europe, but also in US. And now is the turn of Matteo for this fourth meeting that we have as Expert Hub that is about the why and how of the social and environmental sustainability. So we are going to work on that. So welcome, Matteo, and now I turn over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Oscar, and thank you, Karina. It's a great pleasure to be with you again. And let's crack it on. Let's start with the activity today. So as many of you are familiar, we are playing with Miro. So just share with you a link. Feel free to access the link so we can work together on the board. And then I'm going to share with you my screen. So you're going to see what we're going to do today. All right, so let me know if you see my screen, if you have any problems. If not, we'll continue the session. So as you might be familiar with the activity, we are going to work with a small breakout rooms here. We have breakout room 1, breakout room 2, and breakout room 3. And our activity is basically to brainstorm around a pretty clear problem statement that we update the problem statement for every meeting we have. So the problem statement we're going to focus on today is why and how we can ensure social and environmental sustainability when implementing smart, healthy, and age-friendly environments. So every breakout room will have the same problem statement, and we're going to work on this activity where together as a group, we will explore how this problem statement can be broken down. And as usual, try to be creative, try to think about quantity over quality, and try to really brainstorm as many ideas and write down feedback as much as possible. To do that, you're going to use these areas here with the post-its. And as I said, write down everything, try to have an open conversation, and try to map out every idea that you have. Once you have mapped out enough ideas, try to move down and go at a deeper level and try to break every single idea or those that you feel you are more confident or comfortable with and break them down more, always asking, how can we make it happen? How can we do it? So I'm going to give you around 15 minutes for this activity, and I'm going to jump between the breakout rooms to see if you need help, if you need support. And then we're going to come back, and then every breakout room member, or maybe find out a member of the breakout room that would like to share a summary of your thoughts and your ideas. We're going to go back to the plenary. You'll have about a minute and a half or two per breakout room where you're going to share the highlights. And then I'm going to give you another couple of minutes to vote for each breakout room, which feedback, which idea is the most likely or the most important or the most interesting, the most likely that you're going to want us to bring forward. So in total, we're going to spend around 25 minutes. So we might be able to finish by 45. So in about less than half an hour. Do we have any questions before we jump into the breakout rooms? I guess it's all sounds very clear. It's not the first time we're playing with this tool here, with the abstraction ladder tool. So Nicola or Oscar, if you want to share if we want to start the breakout rooms, we can all jump into them. I look forward to see you there, guys. See you soon.
So sorry for the wait. I'm experiencing
right. It seems that everyone is back to the plenary. Thank you so much for the effort and the creativity that in just 15 minutes you put into the activity. There are lots of feedback, so I'm not going to waste other time. And I would like to ask if breakout room number 1, if anybody who feels comfortable in sharing is able to share a little summary of your conversations here. So anybody from breakout room number 1?
Yeah, Arthur, and sorry for the typo failure.
No problem at all.
Yeah, and I make it short in the abstraction is that different kind of services or initiatives are going in the proposal, but they talk everybody out, and from the point of view for nursery or hospitals, or from energy point of view. But on the end, is always the money an important thing. Because one of the things that come out of this session is more that you had to make decisions. And that's very important. You can't do everything. That's the point. That you need to make decisions and to create a decision support to make it adaptable for everybody. You had to make choices. That's the point, and that's difficult. But yeah, that is one of the things when you want to make things sustainable, that you don't only looking at the solution, what you want to prevent, but also the sustainability of the business model, because it always costs money, always costs all energy from people to work on it and to keep it going on. Otherwise, it stays by one project on one moment, by few people, and then disappeared all the energy. So that is one of the goals. What I trying to group 1 bring in from keep choices, and you can't get it all, and you need to recognize there is a business model always needed for it, for the sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the share outs, and thank you, group number 1, for all the work done so far. Thank you so much. Just before we move to the to group number 2, I see there is a message from Madalena. Were you part of group number 1 and you didn't have the opportunity to write your idea down?
I think I was in group number 2, but I could not manage from the cell phone to grab the writing thing, and I just grabbed the one. So sorry.
No problem. That's perfect. So I'm gonna add your comment here in a post-it in group number 2. So now we're gonna move to group number 2 here. Is there anybody who wants to share a summary of the post-its and your feedback here from group number 2?
Yes, Matteo, it will be me. So I would start by saying there were a lot of contributions, first of all. So that was very very good in my opinion. And to summarize what was said, first of all, the contributors said that there is a need to start from the design phase. So we need to start designing for accessibility in our urban planning policies. Then also, in order to guarantee social and environmental sustainability, we need to have, let's say, a mapping activity of stakeholders and work with them to have a joint vision, knowing what are going to be the resources that we can use and work together collaboratively. And at the same time, it's not just about let's say, institutional stakeholders or private companies, for example, that could help, but also involving the citizens from the very beginning, so every step of the way. We have said that we need to put an emphasis on accessibility. There should be investment in training on, especially of the technicians that are involved, but also of the people themselves, since we want them to be involved from the very beginning. And then we also need to provide incentives for end users and stakeholders, maybe through funding opportunities that could be provided by third parties. And I also would like to explicitly say what Maddalena wrote, which in my opinion is really interesting, and that is that we have to have different patterns to evaluate the sustainability, the environmental sustainability and the social sustainability. And if I interpreted wrong, Maddalena, please correct me.
Actually, no, it's right, because the economic model we use to evaluate value are not applicable to social and environmental field. So we need to find a different reference that is not only value for money, but is value for health, value for work. So it's a matter of developing a different framework for evaluation, different indicators that we can apply to social and environment. And that related to the fact that even if we digitalize, we shouldn't forget we are humans. So how much do we value that? The relation to human, human to environment. How do we measure that other than money?
Yeah, very interesting in my opinion, as a point of view.
Thank you, Nicole and Maddalena, and thank you, working group number 2. Great feedback, and I would say aligned with group number 1 as well. So I'm gonna move quickly over group number 3, which I know there has been a bit of a challenge here with post-it writing, but anybody from group number 3 who feels comfortable in sharing a summary of your feedback?
Yes, Matteo, would be me. And there's some, let's say, overlap and connection also with some elements rise from group 1, I guess, because we wrote also partially in the other section the comments about the environmental sustainability in the sense that Maddalena said. So that is, for example, quality of air. So the level of pollution in terms of PM 2.5 and 10, and the also carbon oxidation that we have in the air. But it's important to preserve and to, let's say, create the proper environment, having a control of the quality of the air, but also balancing this with a heating or cooling system on one side. Then we had an internal conversation around a more broad, let's say, approach and meaning in terms of environmental sustainability, but is more on the social level. So we talked about, for example, how we can build communities, as you can see in the left column, but is building community for having local negotiation with energy suppliers in a more strong and powerful way. So the issue is which social methodologies we could adopt for fostering this process, but sometimes not spontaneous. And then in the idea also in making energy affordable, because sometimes people could adopt some very basic, let's say, survival solutions, also considering the price of energy. And then we talked about the where it is, the attitudes, but is where you are with it's in gray color in the middle. The post-it, it's about the different political attitudes and mindset that people from left or right or center could have in approaching this issue, but is also considering, let's say, the personality of people once it comes to talking with them or engaging them for a social innovation approach that could be a game changer. And then we said that Asian population is not heterogeneous, so we need to consider this point and being also inclusive. So it's important to adopt strategies that doesn't left, let's say, some people away or lagging behind. And yeah, these are, let's say, mainly our comment. One more focusing on, let's say, the hard component of the environment, and so it's the building, it's the quality of the air, and the other is more social and broad and transversal. Thank you.
Thanks, Oscar, and thanks everybody for the feedback you have given so far. So we're running a little bit late, but I would like to give you 1 more minute for each group and to spend time voting on the feedback here. So what I'm asking you is to pick 2 votes each from your group here, move the red dot over the post-it that you think it's very important or very critical. Of course, you can pick 2 votes and you can select more than 1 post-it, but try to keep your voting session very focused on a feedback that you think it's very important, that is critical. So I'm gonna set a timer, 1 minute. We can do that as a plenary, and every member of breakout room 1, 2, and 3 will vote on its own breakout room. Is that okay? Any questions?
It's clear. Okay.
All right.
Matteo, sorry, I will need to, so the people cannot be assigned to the same rooms again, because I already created the rooms for the next session.
Yeah, no problem. We don't need to create a room. Just please, I ask a favor to everybody. If you remember in which room you were, just move your cursor over the correct area in the mirror board so you can vote here.
Thank you.
Yeah. So set a timer, 1 minute from now. Is it all clear in breakout room number 1? I don't see anybody voting. Still only 18 seconds left, so make sure you vote.
Matteo?
Yeah?
I think the dots appear behind the post-its for some reason. I mean the number two room, and I see that they are.
Okay. Not a major issue with that, but thanks you, Nicola.
I'm just worried that maybe somebody voted, but it's hidden behind the little post-it.
In room number 1 as well. Okay. What I'm gonna do is to move the post-its up. Well, people are too fast. They're moving post-its before I bring them to the front. Okay, I'll give you 1 more minute, okay? So if anybody still has to vote, you might be able to move your post-it over the top of the, to move the dots over the top of the post-its, okay? And if you want, you can still rethink about the votes you have already placed on the post-its for the other groups. Moving them is allowed. Remember, 2 votes each, so make sure you use all your votes. Every vote is important here. Oh, I see somebody highlighting. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm learning the platform.
That's great. That is great. All right. So thank you again, everybody, for taking part in this session, for sharing your ideas, and most importantly, for voting. So I'm going to quickly go through the groups, and then async will do a prioritization exercise, and then the main team is going to share with you the results of this workshop today. So I see here promoting best practices in the field seems to be something very important we need to consider, as well as creating measurements or indicators for monitoring the sustainability and establishing political or legal regulations. And finally, we've got a vote here on balancing quality of air and energy saving. So let's see if they are aligned with other conversations from breakout 2. So we are talking about community engagement, mapping of existing needs, and combining resources and expertise. I feel there is a strong connection between community engagement and combining expertise and resources. So it's really about working together. We're talking about user-friendly systems and usability for the devices, and also to empower trained professionals to assist elderly. And then here we have we should develop different ways to evaluate the value in social and environmental field. I feel there is a connection with breakout room number 1, especially with promoting best practices in the field, I believe. We'll see that later when we cluster those feedback. And then group number 3, wow. The return, return on investment, in particular, the social return on investment. See a lot of votes here. Many more votes around the political attitudes towards the topics between right, left, and center positions. So this seems to be a very important topic here for group number 3. Aging populations are not heterogeneous. Absolutely agree. And SMART is not reflective of the social pillar of sustainability, I believe. So let me just finish up the sentence here. So it makes it clearer when we're going to review it. So that's all for today. We're slightly late. We are a bit, over the time, but I think this was a great feedback from you all. Thank you for your flexibility and adaptability in using this platform. And I will hand over back to the team. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Matteo, for leading this session and inspiring us in getting a lot of feedbacks about sustainability. And now we are jumping in the next step that is deepening the topic, but is, let's say, working deeper on the experience that we had and what, let's say, could support us in this journey. So we can now touch those 3 points. So we need to understand what to do to reach out to the sustainability, what works, or what has been working with clear demonstrations, and what are the limitations, the barriers that we could have in front of us. So when I'm into ensuring the social and environmental sustainability, we need to face those 3 questions, and we will give you some minutes to work on each of them. So the first will be, which steps did you first take to enable the uptake of social and environmental sustainability principle in your specific field and context? So which are let's say, the first actions. Secondly, which have been the success factor that enabled you to ensure social and environmental sustainability? So what worked, the levers? And thirdly, which have been the critical issues and barriers you faced? So what we need to overcome to go beyond. So next slide, please. We will, serve you one question at a time, and we will have 5 minutes per each question, and we provide you some hints as, let's say, icebreakers or suggestions to start thinking the answer. And so please consider this just, let's say, some cues that we give you. And in case time is falling short, write, let's say, your thoughts in the chat. Hi, welcome, Jose. So now, let's proceed with the first question. Which steps did you first take to enable the uptake of social and environmental sustainability principles in your field and context? For example, we can say, first, we need to include multiple and diverse social actor stakeholders in the planning phase, because otherwise we don't have the commitment that is essential to engage them in the process. But for example, also, we think that creative vademecum that highlight the advantages of environmental sustainability could make it clearer once it comes to conversation with stakeholders. And thirdly, we have seriously measure the impact of your action in a continuous way to gather evidence or result of the adoption of sustainability principles. So let's think about them some minutes. We could also discuss. So I kindly ask to share thoughts and also, or in parallel, writing the chat. Otherwise, we take notes. So back to the question, which is or which are the first steps that should be done? Any ideas, suggestions? Lenka, please.
I would say that the first step should be really educate and inform the public, because sometimes they are not aware what is behind the term of, for example, this environmental sustainability. So if you ask people what it is, they can give you quite a large variability of answers. So first, it is the education of all age groups, not only of the seniors, but also of kids at schools.
So you mean, starting very earlier?
Yeah.
Let's say. Yeah. Thank you very much, Lenka, for these tips. What thinks the others? Silvia says to diagnose the situation, to know where we are. So using the SWOT analysis. Let me open here. Yeah, what is the starting point? What do we want to reach? So, Silvia, you want to comment this note?
I was thinking that sometimes you first need to know what is the context you are moving in. Perhaps it's not the same for different. I mean, there are some contexts where social and environmental sustainability principles can be more easily implemented because of the profile of the people you are working with, or economical context, social context, or whatever. And in some other places, it's more difficult. So you have to know what is the starting point, like what can I do and what vision may I have, what I want to achieve, so that you can really have like a plan. And of course, as the previous speaker was saying, to include all the people that has to be involved from the beginning. But for that, you also know to know who is there, who are the actors and the stakeholders. So I think that is a good starting point for anything you do in general.
Yeah, and let me say, if possible, that maybe we need also to think who is the first mover when we say in the question to enable the uptake. So who is the mover and the enable? It means who is starting from? Are we talking about authorities, talking about companies or citizens? So maybe we need also adaptation of strategy based on who is, let's say, the entity in charge of implement this new environmental sustainability plan, you know. So thank you, Sylvia. Other ideas, comment, we can write in the chat and then amplify with our discussion. So.
There are only 30 seconds left.
Okay. For example, what do you think about also the creation of but the MECOM but present advantage of having this and making it clear, because as also Lenka said, sometimes people don't know what we are exactly talking about. You can write maybe comments in the chat if you agree on that. Okay, meanwhile, thanks, Nicola. We are jumping in the second round of question, but is which have been the success factor that enabled you to ensure social and environmental sustainability? So now we are looking backwards. Okay, so let's think about what we have done once we get the success, let's say. For example, we have created a condition for all stakeholders involved, listening they say, and benefit from action undertaken, or we provide advisory support to actors, stakeholders that implement or have implemented the action in terms of environmental sustainability, or we have developed measurement and mechanism to inform decision makers or other things. Okay, we got, for example, our experience in mind that we can bring here, but each of us got one. So what did you do to get a success on this domain of environmental sustainability? But here we want to hear voices. Anyone working on that? Yeah, Jose, please.
Sorry, Oscar, and everyone. It's the first meeting I'm in, and I'm not well put inside of this project. I'm just starting to know about these questions. But based on the experience I have in the implementation of digital health, is somehow they confront the same problems. This kind of this SIRENE project and this kind of projects of digital health implementation. So here, I think that the success factors should always include all the people. If you yes, we want to focus on elder people, but we have to think about the informal carers, for example. They are at home and they are caring for these elder people. So I think these are some important stakeholders to include in this. In the first question, I think. And in this second question, I think this inclusion concept is paramount to contribute to this awareness about the social and environmental sustainability. I'm not sure if people at large, society at large, knows about this concept of social sustainability. Environmental sustainability is a more well-known concept, but this social sustainability is not a well-known concept as the other are related to environment. So these conditions that you are talking about to put all social actors and stakeholders involved to say something about the benefit they have if they implement or adopt these environments, smart environments and technologies. I think this is the most important thing to have into account to measure these impacts. But this implies to inform people too. And why not to involve here somehow a kind of educational strategy, not based only in literacy, health literacy, but this discussion about what is sustainability in social sense, what they think this is.
Thanks a lot, Jose, for your, let's say, comment, but enlarge the perspective of having this broad engagement. And let's quickly check also the other contributions that we have in the chat.
I would like to add some small comment.
Yep.
So this sentence is placed as if we have achieved social and environmental sustainability, which I do not think is the case, because we are still relying on fossil fuels, for instance, and that's not environmentally sustainable. Also social sustainability in Europe nowadays, unfortunately, is we're losing the grip of it because of we have aging population, and that's not socially sustainable because young people that need to work and provide for the insurance fund and the social security funds and the retirement funds are less and less. And I'm afraid we are not socially and environmentally sustainable in Europe, at least. So there are several things we ought and should and could do to ensure social and environmental sustainability, from more efficient care of the ill and elderly, up to renewable energy, up to unfortunately longer working periods, delayed retirement, more children. And generally, we shouldn't only make sure that the elderly get care, but also we have increasing number of autistic children that need some care. So it's not only the elderly that we need to pay our attention to, but also younger people that need special care and attention. So success factors, we need to do more for sustainability.
Thank you, Ivan. And if we consider your comment with the previous one, maybe we need to expand, let's say, the border in thinking about, okay, the focus is environment, but who is there? Not only other people, the others, so generation, so education, several points. Thanks a lot also to colleagues for a lot of comments that we will bring from the chat that stress out the educational issues, but also the solidarity concept and other elements. So thanks for sharing. And now let's go ahead with the third question to be on time, but is which have been the critical issues and barriers you face? And usually when we start thinking about barriers, the list explode because we know that barriers are seldom more than opportunities. So some example, difficulty in ensuring the presence of diverse social actors, stakeholders, and keep them engaged. So So having them during the first early stage, and then stimulate interest for environment, sustainability action. If it don't produce immediate economic profit, we know, for example, that investment regarding environment doesn't, let's say, provide a payback, let's say, quick, and we need to have a long-lasting view about the future. And thirdly, lack of interest in bringing towards impact measurements after completion of a project, and let's say the reluctance to change, but is very human. So let's talk about barriers and write them down. Let me say, for example, from our side, just to bring our experience, that almost where you are doing something that connect environment with living and age-friendly approaches, arts, for example, or building, historical building could be a big issue with several nuances depending maybe of a country or the city or the situation, because it's really difficult to put together what comes from innovation in terms of, for example, technological devices, solar panel, new plants with artistic or historical building. It's really big barriers for this, just to mention one. But let's talk together. So other barriers that you face in working on that. Oh, here, Hara says mindset. Hara, can you comment, please?
Yes, hello to everyone. Yes, I believe that at least in our case, coming from a more technical oriented perspective and trying to present some viable, sustainable solutions with measurable impact, although sometimes the problem is given, is something that we all understand and we can measure, and we can see in most cases the solution, and we can also measure the impact of it. Sometimes a main barrier we face is the mindset and the how unwilling sometimes people are to move forward to something new. That is often an obstacle we face, and it's usually tackled through small pilots that we come to showcase the actual solution and how easy or not easy is to implement, and actually kind of project the solution in the present, so as to kind of train people and let them think themselves how feasible it could be. That's just something that we have faced, and I think we need to keep on working on that.
Thank you very much. Very relevant. Thank you, Ara. I see also, Silvia, the stress out the time that we need for impact measurement and evaluation. That is not so long usually, especially maybe in projects. And also like stress of the inactivity of authorities at all levels and lack of investments. Yeah, for example, it's good that it come up also money and investment. So who is going to put the money? How we can engage people to do that? This is a big issue. And let me add also maybe one thing, that is when it comes to talking about sustainability with older people, sometimes we think that, let's say, we can ask why they should do something or invest something and they are approaching the end of life. But just nowadays we are working on projects related to energy and living and so on. And it's amazing to understand how much they could be sensitive towards new generations. So maybe just to put on the table also this issue, how we can, let's say, sell somehow or stress out the connection between what you're doing right now and further generations. Silvia, please, over to you.
Yes, I was also thinking that when we talk about, for example, shaft environments, the impact you can get. I mean, you can implement energy efficiency measures, and you can measure the saving in energy, for example, on even in invoices, in energy cost, and so on. But the project many times do not have enough measurements so that you can really see how that improvement of the environment has an effect on the health of older people, for example. And that also has an impact on the decrease of the cost of health, for example, public health. And we are missing a lot of projects that really have like 20 years of following different implementations to really see how some interventions can improve a lot the health of people, and that can have an effect in the reduction of the public health cost. So I think that is one of the barriers, that energy efficiency is so clear, you know, like so direct. Yeah, you reduce the energy bills and it's clear, everyone understands that. But we don't have studies that really take enough time, because when you go to health issues or policy issues, you need a lot of years really to measure things to see how the changes are happening. So I think that is one of the barriers, that we don't really convince anyone saying like, look, this has been done and it really has an effect and it has an impact. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Silvia. And this measurement topic and how to touch this point is essential for, let's say, carry on this change that we are trying to do. So thank you very much for expanding the topic in this large discussion we had. And now in our SIRENE proceeding, we will jump in another breakout session where we will talk about three main topics. So we will provide the option to choose where you can go, and then we will have the final rush, let's say. So please, Nicola, if we can present the options. Okay, but our result of ecosystem survey, set up an innovation repository, and the first draft of good practices, the blueprint. Okay, see you. Yeah, and finally we are back here. And for the ones, yeah, who was in the Blueprint strategy group, please send us your feedback and comments because of the time. So we ended up with a presentation, but we want to hear your comments based on what Della Nicola presented there. Now we are here back again, and I don't know if we want to have a sum up regarding each room, but let's say for the blueprint is quite huge contents. You could have access and then send us others. And I don't know if others want to comment about the room where you were. I see comments also in the chat, but is about, okay, the format box U, we have practical application to use and best practice. Thanks for sharing. Okay, it seems not. By the way, welcome, Wilka. Now I can see you here. Great. So if not, we are, let's say, in the closing session, and it's important to bear in mind the next appointment that we will have, that will be on January 26th at 2 p.m. But I see Dimitris. Yeah, with hands on. Please, Dimitris, over to you.
Yeah, hi, sorry. Just as a conclusion from the breakout room from ECH Alliance about the ecosystems engagement survey, we want to share one slide, just 1 minute.
Yeah.
I'm trying. Okay, so As you can see, we want to leverage the existing networks within the consortium and the Experts Hub and collaborate with other relevant projects and initiatives in order to provide targeted support measures towards ecosystems. So these support measures will have the form of virtual science cafes or webinars on the topics of safer environments, smart living solutions, remote monitoring using mobile health apps or robotics, and planning age-friendly environments. Of course, any other topic relevant to the SIRENE objectives is welcome. So if you know any project or initiative or you have any contact that would be interested in exchanging insights and experience with us, please contact us. You will receive a follow-up email after the Experts Hub meeting with the survey findings and this call to action. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dimitris and the ECH Alliance, for expanding the opportunities to work together collectively on that. So please take notes and save the date, January 26th at 2 p.m. Central European Time. We will be back talking about impact assessment. We have seen today that measurements matter the most, and so we will be fully dedicated to this topic. So thanks once more for joining us today, and see you on 24th. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a nice day.
Bye.
Weekend, actually.